He wants tent camps essentially banned on inside cities and then on public property outside cities.
Now, California is the exemplifier of neoliberalism and the excesses of the left. Liberalism is meant to mean individual freedom and respecting the freedom of the individual, sometimes above all else. I can see the appeal in such a position, but the problem, I suppose, comes when people don't know what's good for them. Do you know what's good for you? Do you know the best way to live? And how is it playing out in California? Well, one thing, there's a lot of homelessness. And Gavin Newsom is clearing out the homeless encampments that I used to know as Skid Row in the good old days.
Down on the Skid Row.
The governor will provide $3.3 billion in funds to provide housing and treatment options for homeless. Well, please God, that is what happens. Gavin Newsom has urged officials across the state to clear all homeless encampments, claiming the time for inaction is over. It was a good time for inaction. We've had that time. Now it's time for action. He said local authorities had asked for resources which had been delivered, and the courts had provided clarification on the legality of the clearances. So what they're doing is they're putting lipstick on the clearing up of these encampments. They're going to be going down to the many areas in Los Angeles, notably downtown, where there are tent cities, where I went one time and spent time in the homeless centers that primarily housed women with children. You find God there, because the children don't even know that they're poor or they're homeless, and their faces are lit up in glory. My wife was there conducting some play workshops for the children, and I was on the sidelines watching, merely assisting, as my beautiful wife conducted these workshops with the mothers and the young children. Towards the end, though, I decided to let my personality out and create a bit of chaos in that homeless shelter. And as I sort of rolled onto the floor, messing around with them kids, my whole vista was covered by these children in clothing. Mostly they were African-American kids aged between 4 and 9 years old. They bundled me. We called it bundle in the UK when they sort of attack you. All I could see was children's faces. All I could see was them smiling. It was so beautiful. Even in their poverty, there was a kind of glory. Now, Gavin Newsom says that what he's doing is providing treatment options and housing, but I reckon that might be lipstick on what they're actually doing, probably gentrifying those areas. I'd look into that. And two, it's an attempt to address the branding issue that California has around excessive homelessness. Let me know in the comments and chat if you feel this will be handled beautifully, delicately, elegantly, and where you would get the principles, in fact, to conduct this correctly, i.e., what is our attitude towards the poor? What should we do when people are poor and destitute? Is our position this? It's their fault. It's their fault they're poor. Fuck them. Or is it, wow, they're human beings and we have an obligation to care for and love one another? Mr. Newsom, 57, is widely considered to have his eye on a 2028 presidential run. Said he was issuing the demand while providing another 3.3. Let's keep going on about the funds to provide housing and treatment options for homeless residents. If you ask me, that's spin. This is, we're going to clean out and excoriate California of homelessness, and we're going to dress it up as if it's a social initiative. It's the same way that Keir Starmer, another left-wing politician, has adapted his stance on immigration because they're losing votes, because Reform are winning votes on we're going to be tough on migration because it's what people want. But they are now having to position it, mould it, tart it up, I'd say in English, put lipstick on it, make it look all nice so that they can pretend they're not hypocrites. Gavin Newsom's in a similar position. If he's going to have a presidential run, everyone, while he's campaigning, people are going to go, look at California, it's a state, you can't even sort out California, look at all that homelessness. Well, we did an initiative and over this number of people were helped by those initiatives. It's extraordinary, it's corrupt. Let's have a look at what the great Michael Schellenberger, brilliant journalist, has to say on this subject.
California's governor, that's Gavin Newsom, about to announce a new plan to clean up homeless camps. He's given cities and counties guidelines for cracking down. He wants tent camps essentially banned on inside cities and then on public property outside cities.
Amazing. So really, a new law's been introduced to ban people putting tents up. So that looks like it's at odds with everything Gavin Newsom's ever said. So he has to decorate that with, we're going to send them to treatment centres. This would be brilliant. Watch the layers of spin and empty rhetoric here as they mask our own certain understanding that when you see mass homelessness, it's an indication of problems. Now, you will probably diagnose that problem according to your political persuasion. If you're a Republican, you will likely say, oh, it's because we've got so many illegal immigrants in California that there's just not enough resources. If you're of the left, you'll say government isn't providing enough resources, welfare, institution, and institutional support. So let me know in the comments and chat which one of those you think it is. If you're a Christian, you'll say, we don't think about why they're there or how they're there. We think, how can we help them? And then you'll recognize, oh God, I can't be bothered. I don't want to. I just want to watch the television or masturbate or wherever it is you're using to get you through the day. And then you'll have to be confronted with the fact that you are a participant in the problem yourself.
This is no small order, Michael, because his city, his state is home to about nearly half of the entire nation's homelessness population. It's about 200,000 people. This is an about face for Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the beginning of his presidential run. He needs somebody to blame for the problem because he can't accept individual responsibility for it. But all you need to know is that he is the person most responsible for the homeless crisis in California. Over the last 5 years, homelessness increased by 40% after he created a $24 billion incentive for homelessness. That money was given to cities to encourage people to do the kind of behaviors, including breaking the law, that would get them unconditional housing, which is the opposite of what actually helps people to recover from addiction. One of the most important ways to help people escape addiction is to have an incentive of housing as a reward for recovering from addiction. So I think this is just another cynical thing. You have to remember, he's been in power since the 1990s, and the problem has gotten consecutively worse because he has essentially pursued policies that enable addiction and illegal outdoor camping, which is at the heart of the homeless crisis.
So it sounds like the shift is really from a focus on treatment and housing for drug addicts to a crackdown now. Do you think that this shift signals a shift in his party more generally?
I would love to believe that. He's just he's been Lucy pulling away the football so many times over the last several decades. I think he's really looking to blame the cities and counties. He doesn't control law enforcement there. We've seen no evidence that he's willing to withhold the money to require a crackdown. And recently, last November, voters passed by 70-30 legislation that allowed the crackdown on fentanyl drug dealing. He opposed that. So to the extent to which the cities have been able to make any modicum of progress in Los Angeles or San Francisco against fentanyl drug dealing, it was over his objections. So I don't think this is going to be enough for him to overcome the bad image that he has nationwide with voters for the impact of his policies in terms of addiction, mental illness, and homelessness. I think it's just transparently an effort for him to scapegoat the communities that are actually been the victims of his policies.
Scapegoat the communities that are a victim of his policies. Are you able, when looking at those scenes of destitution in California, to simultaneously hold in your mind that there is such great affluence in the state of California? Is it the richest or second richest state in your country? Isn't it the fifth biggest economy in the world? I've lived in California a lot. I've had a house in Los Angeles. I've lived there. I've been to parties and gatherings and been celebrated there, and been to the studios and restaurants, and I've been to Skid Row, and I've walked past the homeless people there, and I've interacted with them. And when I was a young man, I was myself chemically dependent on crack and heroin. A lot of the time I used with homeless people. It's just an easy way to get drugs, actually, at least to know where drugs are. When you see those people, they are broken. They are broken like you and I are broken. Same as with the suicide notes I read of men that took their own lives. You might be astonished to learn that the category of people that kill themselves isn't a million miles away from those of us who have not killed ourselves. The category of people that are homeless isn't a million miles away from the category of people who are not homeless. It can happen to any of us. And I suppose the compassion that is suggested by Christ, and not exclusively by Christ, it's in the Old Testament, it's in the Quran, based on the idea that there's something divine and beautiful about a human being, and that we have a duty to one another. People don't like confiscatory tax for understandable reasons. Who wants to work hard and then have half your money taken away from you, particularly if it's then going to be brokered and distributed by a government that you don't trust, that you know for a fact lies to you, manipulates you, conducts needless wars and peculiar medical health experiments, and then charges you for the consequences and costs. But most of us have enough sense to know that, like, on an individual level, you would not walk past and ignore those homeless people, or if someone you knew or loved became homeless, your heart is surely not so broken and closed that you wouldn't reach out to them. And I suppose the kind of imminent and yet transcendent state of grace and love that we're trying to allow into our lives is one where we would be able to afford that limitless familial love to everyone. Love thy neighbour as you love yourself, and love your enemies. Let love be the principle that guides us, and let us govern through love. What you suspect probably with Gavin Newsom is that he's a person that's really interested in power. I know what that's like. I'm interested in power. We're all interested in power. We all want what we want, don't we? And the challenge we've been discussing over the course of today's show is identifying the distinction between a man like President Trump, who tells you, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is my private jet, this is my Qatari jet gift, and a man like Bernie Sanders, who clearly has a different agenda, but is just not able to keep himself off of the private jets. And I think that Gavin Newsom is on that side. I don't think we should fall into nihilism, by the way, and go, oh, forget America. I'd love to see what Trump would do, will do about homelessness in America, what he feels about it. But, you know, Gavin Newsom there, while dressing this up as an initiative to get people housed, really is beginning a leadership campaign for the Democrat Party and trying to look like he's sort of tough on crime after policies, as Schellenberger listed on crime, have generated and certainly contributed to this problem. Of course, homeless people suffer from you won't meet a homeless person who's like, hi, how's it going? Are you okay? Yeah. Like, they're either, this terrible thing happened to me, I've got this mental health problem, I've got this drug problem. And in a sense, you know, we're not separate from one another. The aspects of socialism that are beautiful are these ideas. We are one. We are one fraternity. We are responsible for one another. We must love one another. The aspects of socialism that are not good is, I'm the person that should broker that and decide where these resources go, and we're going to have to increase exponentially our power and authority over your individual lives to the point where you sort of don't have one. And, you know, that's what we've seen play out, isn't it? Free speech is under attack, mine particularly, yours and everybody's. We have to fight back. And how are we going to fight back? Rumble. You get Rumble Premium, you don't only get great content creators like Old Rusty Brandstein, AIPAC supported Zionist, you also get Mustafa Brandajahad. He loves Islam. Also, you get Old Russ. He loves Trump. And then you get Russell. He's a big fan of Kamala Harris. How many people do you need on one channel? You got to get it. Not only do you get me, you get Mug Club with Crowder. You get Glenn Greenwald. He broke the Edward Snowden story. What do you want from people? You get Kim Iverson. It's all available to you in the Rumble chat. For a limited time, you can get 10 of your American dollars off, and you can use crypto, baby, using the promo code AIPAC. No, using the promo code BRAND. Visit rumble.com/brand and get your discount today. Together we can turn the crimson tide of foaming propaganda and stay free together. Click the link. I once made a documentary about addiction and drugs, and we went into a crack house with the police. We did a raid into a crack house. It's heartbreaking because it's like doing a raid in a leukemia ward. You sort of like, the police bust the door open, you go in, and people are just sort of slumped all over, like they're ill, sick, broken people that need love. It's not a criminal judicial issue. It's a health issue. And if you don't make that acknowledgement and that shift, you can't solve it.
So he's also facing some fallout over his handling of the aftermath of the wildfires. Jamie Dimon, talking over the weekend, accused Democrats of essentially prioritizing regulations and red tape over actually rebuilding. Take a listen.
I changed the name of red tape to blue tape because it's the Democrats who seem to want more and more regulations. We need good regulations. We need good food. We need good financial system. We need good, it's just not more, and more. And you see it in everything, permitting and licensing, and there are lessons to be learned. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you should be saying, I want an efficient government.
What do you think?
Yeah, 100% correct. You have to remember Gavin ran as governor for the first time in 2018 and then ran again in 2022, promising to build 5 times more housing than he's built. We've had people leaving California. It's unaffordable, and it's due to exactly what he said, it's the highest tax state. I mean, what else can you say? We have the highest income, sales, property taxes, and we have the worst outcomes. So unfortunately, I just don't think, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, I don't think that Gavin's latest efforts to scapegoat local communities for the homeless crisis is going to work.
Wouldn't it be beautiful to have a political leader that you felt with your heart you could trust and rely on, that you could openly embrace in plain good faith their intentions and rhetoric? Again, Donald Trump is so open that in the environment created as a result of institutional corruption over many decades, his openness and his understanding and appreciation of the rules of the game render him the best possible president of the United States. And those that continually attack him from such unstable ground, because while they're attacking Trump, they're pointing towards Gavin Newsom or Bernie Sanders. I'm talking about the sort of high-profile political advocates of the Democrat Party that sort of wince and scream and rant about Trump. Their solution is not, we need to, all of us, go on a deep investigation of who we are and recognise that we've become dreadfully inoculated to poverty and suffering. We need to awaken to true compassion, and true compassion does not judge. You're not looking for particular causes or issues. You're not looking for glamour or approval or validation. You're looking only to serve and to help. The people that are pointing towards Trump and judging him are saying that the solution is Gavin Newsom or Bernie Sanders. Well, Bernie Sanders just said that he's fully entitled to fly around on a private jet preaching about oligarchy, and he doesn't see the hypocrisy or problem in that. And Gavin Newsom, another likely leader of the Democrat Party, is cleansing California of the homeless in order, I think, to seem like a more appealing candidate to run the Democrat Party. In short, neither of those people appear to be operating from a good faith perspective. But what do I know? I'm outside of the loop. I'm just over here on the redneck Riviera, loving on the Lord. Certainly, it seems like the Gavin Newsom $3.3 billion proposal to clean up the streets of California is an indication that this is yet another politician that says one thing, does another, and is ultimately measuring his actions in order to have a presidential run in 2028. That's just what I think, though. Let me know what you think.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.